So if you're experiencing problems with your photos, you think they're not sharp enough, or you think they're blurry, you're just not getting the quality out of them that you want to. A lot of times we can blame that on our gear or even ourselves. A lot of times though, I've noticed that it is not often the gear or even myself that is the issue. Sometimes it's how I'm interacting with my environment that's actually the issue. I like to break it down into looking at three things: knowing my environment, knowing my gear, and knowing the story that I want to tell. So first, I try to be really aware of my environment, because the environment can really make or break a photo depending on what the photo is you're trying to get. So you can look at this hawk, for instance, and whenever I tried to get the picture of this hawk, the atmosphere, the mood of it, it was a really dreary day, it was overcast, and it was really hard to really get a good photo of it at a lower ISO and everything else. I had to raise my ISO super high. My shutter speed was obviously really high. I tried lowering my aperture, and all that kind of created for not the greatest photo. But then I have this photo of a hawk where it's just perched on top of a post. It's a really bright sunny day, and I'm sitting in my car with my lens held up on top of the door handle and taking the photo of it. And it's really crisp and clear and awesome looking. And that's really because the environment that I was in that day lent itself to a really good technical photo where I could lower the ISO, still have that high shutter speed, and have a better aperture for it all. So in that case, it wasn't really the gear that was the issue. It wasn't even myself that was the issue. It was how I was trying to use all of that within an environment that wasn't suitable for what I was trying to do. And I think that's really where it comes down to figuring out, all right, am I in the right conditions for this? If I am not in the best conditions to take a picture of this hawk and get a super clear, bright, crisp photo of it, then I need to, one, be okay with that. And I need to figure out what story I'm really trying to tell then. Am I trying to get that really zoomed in picture of it, or am I maybe trying to get the wider story of what it's actually trying to do on this dreary day? So second, you need to be also aware of your gear. Like I was saying, it was raining that day, and although my lenses are weather resistant, as is my camera body, it's not completely weatherproof. And if water gets onto the lens itself, I have to wipe it off. I have to do all kinds of things to be aware of what's going on. That also means that I might not get that bright, sunny, crisp photo, or even maybe a cool blue hour or golden hour shot of something with a nice, pretty sky in the background. The other thing you need to know about your gear is how to use it. So for instance, if I'm trying to take a picture of one of these birds and it's perched on a ledge, I could probably get away with lowering my shutter speed to something that allows me to lower my ISO too, to get that better, clear image. But if the bird is flying, then I gotta bump that thing up so that way I can take that shot and be okay with having a larger ISO and it being a little grainier. Once you are aware of some of these things that you have to do with your gear and your cameras and the environment around you and how you have to adapt to each one, you can focus a little bit more on taking those technically good photos that you want. But most importantly is that third one, which is having a good story behind everything. Some of my favorite examples of taking a technically bad quality photo and still getting something really beautiful out of it are the photos I took in Yosemite, as well as photos that I take around the house. For instance, I have this film camera that I got, and it is really wonky. The lens is all dark and not very easy to see out of, but every once in a while I get fun pictures of my family with it, and it creates for cool stories because that's what's going on. I see a cool story unfolding in front of my eyes and I take a picture with it and I get something really exciting. Or I'm out in nature and I take a picture of something and maybe I was hoping for it to be technically good, but overall I still got the story behind it and it turns out to be one of my favorite photos still. And I think that's what it all really comes down to. If you are so worried and expecting yourself to get these technically amazing photos that you see in National Geographic and all over Instagram, one thing you have to know is that those people tried really, really hard to get those technically good photos, and they probably spent hours and days and years working up to get that technically amazing photo. What you really need to do is know your environment, know your gear, and know the story that you're wanting to tell with it all. Because if you can combine all three of those together, I think you can get something really amazing. And the final encouragement I really want to leave you all with is to look at your environment and ask yourself, how can I make this better? A lot of times I notice that there are aspects of your environment that you can really change or that you can get to know and fall more in love with. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you to understand how to maybe switch up your environment or your gear, or at least the understanding of all that. And to really remember the idea of focusing on the story that you're telling and how important that is way more important than the camera gear that you use or the environment that you're even in. And I think if you really practice all three of those and combining those together, you're gonna really have a lot more enjoyment. And I would love to hear in the comments below how you did that for yourself. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you all again.